hopefully we could do as well. Oh, yes, thank you. I forgot to remind you. But yeah, no, thank you guys for joining. I started the Women's MTB Network. I wanted to be a resourceful website for women. And so hopefully it's being helpful for you guys, you ladies. I also just wanted to give a huge shout out to Sam. Thank you so much for putting this on. Like, I'm so stoked we're doing this. Hopefully we can do more for people coming on board. I'll be filtering questions in as they come in. And so if you guys have anything, put them in the chat and we'll answer them either as we go or at the end. We'll see how it fits. But in the meantime, I'll throw it over to Sam and she can take it from here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Mia, for letting me join your community for this evening. I'm so excited. So my name is Sam Crow. I live in Ogden, Utah. I used to live in Park City, Utah for the past 8 years and just bought a house in Ogden here this summer. So this will be my second summer mountain biking in Ogden, and it's been so much fun. I'm a holistic mountain coach, and that just basically means I do the skills coaching part as well as the health and mindset coaching part. So I help female athletes work through mental blocks, some intuitive nutrition, intuitive movement practices, as well as their skills. So I have self-paced and in-person and one-on-one programs, and just have a lot of fun with it because there's nothing better than connecting with other rad female mountain athletes. Just even through this virtual platform, it's so, so powerful. As we go through this workshop, if anything really resonates with you, I want you to put a heart in the chat or like a yes or something so that I know like what things are really speaking to you all. And then also, like Mia said, if you have any questions at all throughout this, feel free to, we do have a smaller group tonight, so feel free to unmute yourself, speak up, or throw it in the chat and Mia will let me know if it's something that we should bring up throughout the workshop, or we'll have time for questions at the end as well. But it's always nice to have kind of get the conversation going both ways here throughout the workshop. So don't be shy.
Are you done, Cory? What? No, work.
Somebody just needs to mute themselves. I might be able to do it. No worries.
Oops.
So what we're going to cover on this workshop is your why. So first, we're going to go through a visualization exercise to get really clear on what it is that drives you out on the trails, because that's going to be your root, your foundation of where everything else stems from. Then we're going to go over the 4 common mindset blocks, which is overwhelm, mentorship or lack thereof, negative self-talk, and fear. Okay, so I already did tell you, but for those of you who just joined in, you're going to want to grab a journal and a pen and find a comfortable and quiet space, especially for this meditation and visualization portion that we'll get into shortly. Okay, so this is the fun part. Let's get to know each other a little bit further. Put your name, well, we'll have your name, obviously, but put where you're from, how many years you've been biking, and what you're excited to learn about tonight. And if you can't think of anything for that last question, that's okay. Just let us know where you're coming from and how many years you've been biking. McCall. Oh, I have a friend in McCall. She's actually just getting into biking. Eastern Pennsylvania, 11 years. Alabama. Denver, Colorado. Ooh, I have a friend in Denver. Bella Vista. BC. Oh, I wanted to get up to BC and go biking. I need to do that. Vancouver, New Jersey, Hurricane, Utah. Yes, you're close to me. Virginia. Oh yeah, I'm excited to learn something new. Yeah, overcoming the fear and trusting the coaching for the skills you know you have. Isn't that the most frustrating? You're like, I know how to do this. I know. Ooh, especially after a surgery. Yeah, those can be tricky. Those can be tricky. Awesome. It looks like we have a lot of experience in the group. So feel free to chime in. If you have found anything that does work for you over the years that I don't mention, share it in the chat. Speak up. I would love to hear from you all because I know I have some really amazing tools and I have a lot to offer, but I don't know everything. I'm just presenting to you what I have found throughout my research, throughout my schooling, throughout my own personal experience and my clients, but that does not extend all the way out to where you guys are as well. So feel free to let me know as we go along. Lots of fear. Yep, cool. We are going to be covering that for sure. Okay, let's dive in. So this first portion is all about finding your why, taking the time to go inward and get quiet and not just go to the other people and what their version of mountain biking is, what we see on YouTube, what we see on Red Bull TV, what we see our other friends doing, our partners doing, and getting really clear on what our personal why is within this sport, because this sport is going to look different for everybody. And a lot of times those external noises can get really noisy to the point of where it's kind of hard to decipher what our true why is. So it is my goal to help you have as many fulfilling and beautiful days out there to reconnect to this why and to learn from those hard days as well. So the good days on our bike are just as valuable as those hard days. The hard days are just as valuable as the good days. The hard days show us where we may be lacking a little bit of support, and the hard days show us, did I say that right? The hard days show us where we might be lacking support and need a little extra love, and the good days show us why we're out there and remind us why we're out there. So let's find our why, shall we? So this is going to be less than 10 minutes. If everyone could find a comfy spot, sitting or laying down, whatever you prefer. And if you do have your camera on, if you're sensitive about closing down your eyes with the camera on, feel free to turn that off so you don't get outside of your head throughout this visualization practice. And we're going to start to quiet down and close down our eyes, and I'm going to actually do the same with you. So if you are sitting or lying down, just pressing your palms into your seat or the bed surface below you, lifting up a little bit, tensing, and then relax and let it go. After this busy workday, this is going to feel really good, y'all. Put your feet on the ground and push up just a little bit, lifting your bum off the seat or the bed surface, tensing, and relax. Now we're going to just get any shakes, fidgets out. If you want to do any stretching, if you want to do any movements that feel really good to you, just working out that extra energy so that when we come to stillness, all those fidgets are gone. All right. We're going to place our palms down in our lap or on our bellies, wherever it feels natural for more grounding. Let all the air out of your lungs through your mouth. Inhale in through your nose, slowly, steadily. Hold at the top for just a moment and slowly let it go through your mouth. We're going to do 4 more rounds of those. In through the nose. Hold. And slowly out through the mouth. In through the nose, deep into the belly, softening the belly and expanding the abdomen. Hold. And slowly let it out through the mouth. In through the nose, softening, expanding, creating more space. Hold. Slowly out through the mouth, relaxing and letting go. Sinking in. Last one, make this the fullest and deepest yet. In through the nose. Hold at the top. Take one more sip in and let it go. Letting your breath return back to its natural rhythm. And bringing to the mind's eye a visualization of your perfect day out on your mountain bike. Slowly painting the picture. What's around you? What trail are you on? Listen to the wind moving through the trees. Listen to the crunching of the gravel below your tires. Feeling yourself on the bike and feeling the movement. Feeling the joy, the sunshine on your face, the freedom it brings. Even down to the clothes and the kit you chose for that day. I want you to fully paint this picture. What feelings and thoughts are coming up? Are there any other people around? Once we have that full picture, the smells, the sights, the feelings, what makes this day so special? Why is this your perfect day? Try not to judge your response or change it or make it something better. Come at it with an open heart and open mind. As if you had a camera, take a mental snapshot of this picture, something that you can come back to on the hard days. Remembering your why that came from within, not from anybody else, not from outside of you, not from what should be, what shouldn't be, but from you. Inhale in through your nose. And as you exhale, the visualization dissolves. One more inhale in through the nose. And out through the mouth. Bringing your chin to your chest. Honoring yourself for coming here today, for this community, for yourself to learn and grow and expand with one another. Bringing movement back to your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, blinking your eyes open and coming back to the space. Awesome. I hope that was eye-opening a little bit. And if it didn't come through super clearly this time, don't worry. If meditation is something that does prove to be a little bit difficult for you, and visualization, that's okay. If anything came through, that's a win. And if nothing did, it's just something that we continuously will work on. Whether that be through other visualization practices, you can come back through this one, or as you go out each and every day, just noticing the small things that really light you up and get you excited to get on your bike. Thanks, Caroline. I'm glad it was great. Meditations are my favorite to lead people through. I think they're really powerful because the answers come from within a lot of times. Okay. So take a few moments to write down what you saw and what you felt and what your why was. And if you feel comfortable to share your why in the chat, I would love to hear some of your whys. There are always a few staples that come through for a lot of people, and there's always some unique ones too, but I'd love to hear what really grounds you, what brings you out on your bike. And I will share mine as well, but we're gonna take just a couple minutes here to jot down what we saw and felt in our why. So there'll be a little bit of a quiet space and quiet time. If you do have any questions or anything you want to share out loud, this would be a good time.
You know, I don't know if this counts, but as I said, mine would be like that I'm just happy to be outside.
Yeah.
I'm just happy I'm not at my desk or working or, it's just happy and to be outside, just happy.
Yeah. It brings happiness. As simple as that. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be anything that's like super deep, or like happiness does run deep. So I can't say that it's not deep.
I mean, it's a very simplified version, right?
Yeah.
Of everything that a person feels when they're happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Mine does sound more complicated. And I apologize if I start coughing. I'm dealing with what everyone has, I feel like, this time of year. But for me, it's the balance of risk and reward, but not so much in the literal black and white of the risk that we take physically, but risking of kind of living outside of what we consider like normal boundaries, right? So like normal everyday hobbies, or just kind of going with the flow, status quo, We go to our jobs, we go to work, we come home, lather, rinse, repeat. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that if that makes you happy. But the risk is kind of pushing yourself outside of that, maybe pushing outside of your comfort zone. For me, pushing further into trusting my gut, trusting my skills, trusting my mind. And then when you experience the reward after taking that risk, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like this building of trust within the outside of the norms. Like kind of it's risky because it's not what society says is what we should be doing, or it's like outside of the box. So it's trusting that going out on your mountain bike and like leaning into your skills, leaning into your intuition, and allowing yourself to be like your truest version of yourself is safe and okay and brings so much joy. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Becca.
Oh, thank you. It's been a process of coming to that. But finding that, like finding my why over 11 years has been a joy in and of itself. So
Yeah.
I think it's worth it just to find it, even if you don't know what the why is. For me, it's always just been worth it to try to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. So like for anybody who hasn't or wasn't able to like discover the why within that visualization, or is struggling to come up with their why throughout this process, like sometimes that's part of the joy, is discovering what your unique why is and seeing what it is, like not compared to anybody else, not compared to the norms of mountain biking. Or yeah, that's beautiful. Happy to be outside, Mia. Exhilaration about my abilities and nature. The chase, the risk and reward. Oh yeah, that was Becca. Feeling strong and fast and confident, self-empowerment. Happy to be in nature and being in the moment. Yes, being present. It's something that's so hard in our everyday life, but the bikes give us that. Sometimes like a slap in the face when we're really struggling on the uphill portion. We're very present for that uphill portion, aren't we? And the downhill portion we're very present for too, because we have to be on our toes, ready to react. The freedom to choose the trail, the wind on your face, and connection to others in the mountain bike community. Yes. Same, more outdoor time, stress relief from work. Gee, the stress relief is real. Quiet my mind. Feeling strong and capable, being close to nature. Feeling of accomplishment. Feeling like a little kid, yes. Harnessing that inner child is such a beautiful thing to do. And it's something that we don't get a lot of opportunities for and isn't seen as normal in a lot of different areas. But when we're out on our bike, nobody can tell us that we can't be fun and childish. And feeling healthy, both physical and mentally, feeling accomplished and overcoming fear and challenges, challenging my friends and being challenged by them, plus all the laughs that come along the way. Yes. And not thinking about anything other than being in the moment. And of course, being outside. Oh, those were beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I hope like this allows you to go through this workshop, this process with that in mind the whole time. Like all these tips and tricks, if I can give you one tip and trick, it's just reconnecting to your why, regrounding in your why. When you have those hard days, remembering your why and coming back to it. Because oftentimes those hard days, the why gets kind of scattered and disappeared and we stop thinking about it. We're just in the struggle bus. So being able to open your gaze, open your focus outside of being in the struggle or the hurt for a little bit, back to your why. How can I incorporate this why into this moment is going to help us so, so much. Thank you all for sharing. Okay, let's dive in to the blocks and tools. So like I said, we're going to be going over overwhelm, lack of guidance, negative self-talk, and the fear of falling. I heard a lot of fear of falling in our opening, like what we're excited to learn, but put a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for which one is holding you back the most. Overwhelm, mentorship, negative self-talk, and fear of falling. And I'll check that at the end. And we won't go into that right now just because I have a half hour to cover a lot of good stuff. All right, so we're going to start with overwhelm. There's so much to learn. Where do I even start? And what this leads to is self-sabotaging behaviors. You know the ones, the procrastination, the decision paralysis, quitting before you even start, avoiding that first step. It can be really exhausting. This overwhelm sensation is like where you're tired before you even start. It's such a bummer. You're like, oh, I love doing this. Why is this hard for me right now? Or maybe it's something that you don't love doing, but you know you have to get done. And I'll walk you through those steps regardless. So the antidote for overwhelm is mentorship, which we're going to cover in here. So not sure, and if you're not sure how to find it, we'll go over that as well. But mentorship is really, really powerful. And something even more powerful than mentorship is friendship. So if you have a friend that is going through a similar process as you and is excited to like learn and grow as well and has similar goals, that's almost better than having somebody that knows everything and can just like spill it all out to you. Having a friendship can be really, really powerful. So we don't need to search out somebody who is the next level above us or get a coach all the time. Like having that friend to go through this whole process together as an accountability buddy, as a buddy that challenges you is so, so powerful. So if you're feeling a sense of overwhelm, going to that friend, going to that mentor, going to that coach and being like, hey, feeling really overwhelmed with A, would you mind just like help walking me through it? Would you mind going through this with me together? Would you mind just giving me a few tips if you have any, whatever that may be? Getting honest about your current time, space, and energy expenditures. This is a hard one because it can be hard to be honest with ourselves that we have too much on our plate. We are saying yes to too many things and not no to enough things. So a lot of times when overwhelm happens because of the lack of space, time, and energy, you can feel like you're not enough, that you're depleted. It's like, oh, I just wish I could get all this done. And like so-and-so does it, like on Instagram, I've seen them, they're ripping every single day. You don't know half of what's going on in so-and-so's life. So getting really, really honest with yourself. How much am I currently spending my time on work, kids, cooking, cleaning, self-care, just the normal things in life? And how much time do I actually have to give to this? Even if it's only 15 minutes, great. If it's an hour, awesome. If it's 2 hours, awesome. It doesn't make any difference. But getting really honest with your time that you have and then scaling back from there or scaling up from there, depending on. So there are time tracker apps that I really like for this for like a couple of days. Just for a couple of days, track how much time you spend on social media, how much time you spend on work. Can be hard because social media and work sometimes when we get bored can interswap really quickly and we can get lost on social media for 15 increments at a time. That 15 increments could have been a 15-minute session in the driveway for mountain biking and working on your skills. Just a thought. But getting a time tracker app and just tracking those few things, whether it's cooking, cleaning, work, you know what you do throughout the day, making those categories so you can click back and forth. And if anybody wants to know the time tracker app that I use, I actually don't know the name of it right now and my phone is away, but I will send it to you. Just shoot me an email at samcrowcoaching@gmail and I'll get that to you. But there are so many apps out there. They're all the same time tracker app of some sort. And then break it down. If we are feeling overwhelmed, we're probably looking at point Z instead of point B, right? So we're like, okay, cool. I want to really do this gnarly Black Diamond Trail out in Moab. That's overwhelming because we're right now a pretty solid blue rider, but we haven't ridden many Black Diamonds yet. Cool, let's break it down. What are the steps on that trail? There is a 2-foot drop. There is a really technical rock garden. Awesome. So we can start from there, working on our drop skills, working on the technical riding skills and our balance and bike body separation, and breaking it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. And the way that I like to break things down is my goal mapping process, which I'm going to share with you all real quick. So I've coined it goal mapping just because it makes it more fun. It's just goal planning for us outdoor athletes. So what is your SMART goal? So if you do have a goal, like say your goal is to become a better biker, that's not a SMART goal. My goal is to ride 5K of vert on my bike this year. That's a SMART goal. You can actually measure that. It's objective, but we need to make sure that it's really clear on what our objective is and not let it be subjective. So if your goal is like, I just want to become a better biker this year, cool. What does a better biker mean to you? Does that mean somebody who can go through technical rock gardens with ease? Does that mean somebody who can climb 1K of vert without stopping? What does better mean to you? Get really clear on that. Break that down into objective goals. And then what are your steps in between you and that goal? So again, we're looking at point Z. What are the small steps we can take before then? So if your goal is to hit, we're going to say a 5-foot drop. Your goal is to hit a 5-foot drop. Great. Let's start at a curb and letting our tires land at the same time off the curb. Getting really good at that, really confident with that. Then we're going to take it to the bike park and we're going to go off a non-consequential drop of 1 foot, both tires at the same time, landing at the same time, and slowly working it up from there. So we have the milestones of 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, all the way up to the 5 foot. And we can check those along the way and see our progress along the way, which will keep us motivated along the way. If we don't see our progress throughout the goal, we're going to become unmotivated really quickly and overwhelmed really quickly. So allowing yourself to have those milestones and getting really clear on what those milestones are so that you can see your progress along the way. When would you like to achieve each milestone by and the end goal? Timing is helpful. If it feels restricting to you, don't worry about it. What support will you need to reach your goal? So this could be things like boundaries with yourself, with other people, with your time. And it could be getting a coach. It could be reaching out to that friendship. It could be some gear that is still needed, maybe a gym membership to get your cardio on before the season is in full swing. Maybe a journal to track your progress along the way. And then what hiccups are possible and how can we work through them? So we're going to plan for the obstacles before they come up. So if the obstacle is, say, weather, we're going to maybe block a few days off in our calendar for that training day so that if one gets washed out by a rainy day and the trails are muck and you shouldn't be on them, that's not going to throw your whole training schedule off. What are the obstacles that could possibly come up and how can you plan for those or move forward in those? Somebody's off. Sounds like a robot. There we go. Okay. And how would you like to feel throughout this whole process? This is a really important piece. Not only do we want to make sure that we're going through in a really sustainable way, but we want to make sure that we're happy throughout it. So if throughout the process, you're finding yourself to be burnt out, you're finding yourself to be unmotivated, you're finding yourself dreading those training days, that is a flag that we need to recalibrate and move forward. So well, how would you like to feel through this process? Like excited, rejuvenated, thriving? Come up with those words so that you can come back to those when you're going through and you need that reminder. Ooh, hey, I said I really wanted to enjoy this process and I'm not right now. How can I come back to that? And another piece of that is how can I integrate my why into this? So if your why is to connect with more people, or if your why is to feel freedom, so if it's to connect with more people, great, I'm going to incorporate more friend rides into this goal planning process of mine, because that's what makes me really fire up. That's what gets me excited. That's what just makes me keep cranking and keep going. If it's freedom, maybe it's going to some new trails for these training opportunities that you feel a little bit more free and untied back. And be consistent, not rigid. So what does that look like? That means you can miss a day. You can miss 2 days. You can miss a week. You can miss whatever period of time and come back to it. I think the hardest thing is when we do take a break to come back to, because we feel the sense of failure that we didn't keep going throughout the whole thing. So we want to make sure that if we do miss a day, that we feel empowered to come back, not deflated and rejected because we missed that one day. Life is crazy. Life has a lot of ups and downs. Life has a lot of things that come up. We have families, we have friends, we have ourselves, we have sickness, we have all kinds of things going on. Don't kid yourself in thinking that you need to hit every single day and every single marker. Just be consistent where you can, and don't be rigid, because then it'll just break. Okay, goal mapping process. Next one, lack of guidance, mentorship. How can I learn what I don't know? What this can lead to is creating really bad habits. I've had to unlearn a lot of really bad habits because I did not have mentorship in any of the sports that I've had. Pretty much up until my professional career, did I ever have a mentor? I never had a mentor. So I did create a lot of bad habits. It feels like you're running in circles. So it feels like you're chasing your own tail. You're like, I feel like I'm just always going to the next thing. And I grab that YouTube video, and then I grab that YouTube video, and then I go to that clinic, then I go to this clinic. And you just feel like you're not getting anything. Thrown in the deep end too soon, where maybe your friend took you on a trail and we're like, you're good, you've got it. And then you go over the handlebars and you're like, oh, wrong kind of guidance that we had there. Everybody's had that friend or has been that person that I was taken out on the Black Diamond or Blue Trail on our first ride, and it did not end well. And that's so sad. Okay. So the antidote first is to check in with yourself. Are you one of those soloists, those DIYers that's like, I can do it. I do everything on my own. I'll figure it out. I've got this. I don't need anybody else's help. I can figure it out on my own. Is that helpful for where you want to go? It's an honest question, and it's a real question. If you're like, yeah, I can figure it out on my own, great. That's awesome. Feel empowered to do so. I encourage you. If it's not the most helpful and you feel like you are running in circles and you are creating bad habits and you're throwing yourself in the deep end too soon, maybe rethink that a little bit. So reaching out to a friend, again, friendship, or maybe it is a friend that is a little bit a step above that you've been intimidated to talk to and to reach out to. Get vulnerable. You have to reach out that olive branch. You have to be like, hey, I would love to get out with you and learn from you, or just follow you and watch you, because it's super helpful for me to watch things get played out in front of me. And then I feel like I can do it. But you have to be the one to let your guard down first and say, hey, I'm not perfect and I would like some help. And it can be really tricky for us to do that at times. And that's okay. But reaching out maybe to somebody that you feel safe with first, and then maybe reaching out to that next person on Instagram that you know is in your local area and you've seen riding out on the trails, and you're like, oh, every time I see him or her, them, I always want to go like ride with them, but I don't. Whenever I run into people on trails out here, I'm like, hey, I just moved to the area. I would love to get to know like more bikers in the area. What are your favorite trails? Where do you like to go? And if it's somebody that I really am connecting with, then I'm like, hey, do you mind just exchanging numbers? I would love to get out and ride with you. It's as simple as that. You already have something in common. You're both biking on the trails. What a better place to meet your next friend. Join local ride days and events. So the Women's MTB network has a lot of different people on it that host events, that have communities, that share other people's events as well. So going to those ride days and those events can be super helpful to meet other people and also learn from other people. Hire a coach, sign up for a course or a class. Easy. And I think sometimes we hold ourselves back because we're like, once I learn this skill, then I'll sign up for that course. Or once I feel like I've got a little bit more endurance under me, then I'll sign up for that class. It's like putting check marks in front of you before you're able to do something that don't actually need to get done. So then it's a self-sabotaging behavior of, we really want to get to that end goal, but we need to check all these first. Scratch those. Go as you are. These clinics are designed for people to come and learn and go as they are. Of course, they're going to have prerequisites. Make sure that you follow those. But other than that, don't over prepare, don't overthink. And then YouTube with 2 asterisks, because YouTube is a rabbit hole and anybody can post anything on YouTube. So there are going to be a lot of different coaches with a lot of different theories, and a lot of not actual coaches with their own theories as well. And what can happen is we can sit on YouTube for an hour, watch all these videos and feel like we have accomplished something, but we actually haven't done anything. I've done that. I'm like, man, I'm so educated now. I could go out and rip for sure. And the truth is I haven't gotten off my butt yet. So if you are going to go down the YouTube rabbit hole, I suggest looking at one video at a time with a source that you trust. And then after you watch that video, go out in your driveway and practice it. Don't go down the rabbit hole, one thing at a time. Because just like if you've been to one of those courses or clinics that are like 2 days long and they give you all the fundamentals, and by the end of it, you're like, whoa, I've got like 2 things from it, but it was awesome and I loved it. It's because we can only retain so much at one time. So just try to do one YouTube video at a time if you're going to do YouTube. Negative self-talk. So it all starts with how you talk to yourself. And this is one that I think until we bring awareness and attention to, we are not aware of how much this negative self-talk holds us back. So this can lead to less curiosity and playfulness. What you really love actually becoming a chore and feeling like something like, ugh, dreaded, I have to go out and do this now. And you're like, wait, this is biking. I love biking. What is happening here? Or a lack of confidence. Because if we're constantly talking bad about ourselves, how can we expect to have confidence? If we're like, man, we're so slow, can't keep up, not strong enough, I'm not really that rad of a biker. Should I even be out here with these guys? They're like already up at the top, I think. Your confidence is going to be shot by the time you get up to the top. So the antidote to this negative self-talk is first awareness. We have to bring awareness to the self-talk in order to start changing it. If we're not aware of this cruel mixtape going on in our head, we can't change it. It's just going to be on replay after replay after replay. And oftentimes it is on replay. They say like 90% of our thoughts are recycled thoughts. So just think about that. On your bike, when we have the ability and the clarity of that present moment, of being stuck in that present moment, it is really clear what thoughts are going on in your head. It's kind of like the mountains, I always say, are this lens to what goes on in our everyday life, but it's just magnified because we have that quiet presence on our bikes. So bring awareness the next time you're out and how you're talking to yourself. What is it saying? Is this important to you? You actually have to ask yourself these questions because we're dealing with ourselves right now. So it may seem a little weird at first, but I promise you it's super powerful. So if the negative self-talk in my head is, I'm so slow. I'm so slow. Man, I just can't make it up this. I'm never going to get any faster. I try really hard, but I can't get any faster. Is it important to you to be faster right now? Honestly, if you answer that, like most of the time the answer is like, no, I'm working on it, obviously, but this is where I'm at currently. But if it is, great. Okay, it is actually, I do want to get faster on my bike right now. And I feel like I should be faster. And this is like taking a little bit longer than I want it to. How can you move closer to that? We're going to go back to the goal mapping process. And we're going to be like, hey, we want to get faster. What does faster mean? How can we make that objective? How can we measure that? And go through that whole process. If no, what is important to you right now? So I had one of these rides with my husband. He is the Energizer Bunny that can go forever. And he's so freaking fast. Sometimes it drives me crazy. I'm way in the back and we're going up this really technical climb. And it's at the end of our climb. So I'm drained. He gets up to the top and all of a sudden that negative self-talk came in. And I was like, man, you should be faster. Like, how is he so, he just bikes more. You should probably bike more. Man, you call yourself a coach. You can't even get up this technical section. That's crazy. And then I was like, whoa, okay, how can I bring this back in? Is this important to me right now? No, actually, this ride was all about, it was a vacation time. This was all about relieving stress. This was all about connecting back to myself after a really busy work month. Okay, what is important to me right now? Connection to myself. How can I connect more with myself in this moment? And that was positive self-talk. You're doing a great job. That was connecting to the land around me and just noticing all the plants and the rocks, maybe taking pictures, eating snacks, drinking water, and just calming down my nervous system, because that's what I was there for in the first place. And this could be where your why comes into. If that's not important to you, your why definitely is. When all else fails, replace that with broken record with the cut the shit mantra. So the cut the shit mantra is just a really standard mantra. You create it. It's 3 different categories. So mine is I am powerful, I'm confident, I'm strong. I'm powerful, I'm confident, I'm strong. And as I'm pedaling, I'm powerful, I'm confident, I'm strong. And that just basically takes the place of the negative self-talk. You can only have like one thought at a time. Like you can't have it all mumble jumbled up in your head. So if I just keep pushing with that mantra instead of that negative self-talk, that helps me block out that negative self-talk. And then you know what's going to happen is you're going to let go of the mantra. And you're going to be pedaling for a little bit and you're like, I'm good. I'm good. Negative self-talk's going to creep back in, and you'll just come back to that mantra, and you'll just come back. And it's as easy and hard as that. The more you come to this mantra, the more automatic it'll become. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be super easy, and you might find yourself like halfway through the mixtape before the cut the shit mantra takes its place. And that's okay. Every time it'll become a little bit sooner. It took me about like a full winter to get this to be automatic in both my sports, both splitboarding and mountain biking. But now that it is, the negative self-talk has way less room, and it's awesome. Okay, the one that y'all were waiting for, the fear of falling. I want to, but I'm scared. What it leads to is the progression plateau. We've all been there before, especially for those that have been biking for 10 years. There's probably a few plateaus in there, right? The frustration of, I know I can, and more falling. Because when we're scared of falling, we become rigid, and then we end up falling more, which is always a bummer. So the antidote. First, checking in with that nasty, nasty ego. Actually, the ego is not nasty, but it can be at times, and it can give us a little bit too big of expectations for ourselves and where we actually in reality are at. So just remember, when you're going up to that future and you feel like this huge fear of falling, like, where is this coming from? Is this coming from my true self, or is this coming from my ego? And if we haven't slowed down in our normal life and like practice with journaling and meditation, this can be hard to decipher at times. But the more we kind of check in with ourselves, the more you'll be able to distinguish between your ego and your true self. So if this is like, man, you just look so weak because you can't do this. Oh, so-and-so did it. Why can't you do it? That is the ego. That is the ego. Do not be fooled that that is your true self telling you that you should do this. Your true self is probably the quiet voice in the back being like, we don't really need this today. No. Actually, this ride was awesome. You know why? Because our why was connection. We connected with the people around us, to ourselves. That's what we came here for. And then the ego is going to come back and be like, I don't listen to them. They're just lazy. They don't want you to get ahead and progress. And then your true self is like, always about progression, always about progression. So just be aware of when the ego comes in. Most of the time, it'll come in with negative self-talk and with degrading words. If that's what's coming in, that's most likely the ego. Second one is setting yourself up for success. So building trust by slowing down and sessioning smaller objectives that are similar so that we can be proactive versus reactive. So it is super important here to get the foundational skills in lock. And that means like body positioning, bike body separation. That means wheel lifts. That means all kinds of different things. Just being able to balance on your bike. It depends on what you're doing, of course. But don't try to rush the process. Rushing the process is only going to make you fall and be more fearful in the end. So coming back to those smaller objectives until we feel really, really comfortable and confident in those, and then moving up from there. So if you feel like the ego is telling you that you should be doing this bigger drop, let the truer self guide you into what is actually your next step. What feels comfortable but stretchy? calming the nervous system. So this is one of my favorites because anybody can do it and you can ditch the whole thought process of it all. You don't have to deal with deciphering between the ego and the truer self. Breath. First is those extended exhales. So we did those within our breathing practice in the beginning, and that can either be at a count or you can just make sure that your exhales are a little bit longer than your inhales and concentrating on that really slow exhale. Shaking. So we've done this before as kids a lot. You'll see animals doing this, and it is an actual real release of stress in the body. So literally, if I get to the top of something that is really scaring me, I'll feel the urge to do it. And it's just like, it looks weird, but as soon as you do it, your friends are going to start doing it too. My friends all do it now too. It's super funny. But it helps. It helps a lot. It's just this like release of stress. And that's all it is. It's our nervous system heightening, our heartbeat picking up and our respiratory rate picking up. And we just need to release that a little bit. Butterfly hug. So crisscross your arms over your chest and breathe in and out. It doesn't have to be at any sort of pace, but this bilateral stimulation alongside intentional breath can help bring people down from a panic attack. So it can for sure bring your fear down. And then horse lips. So it's another silly one that we used to do as kids a lot, but it's breathing in through your nose and then out through the mouth with the loose lips of. So I do this a lot on my bike when I'm biking downhill because it's super easy. I don't need to have a slower respiratory rate. I can do that with a quicker respiratory rate, and it actually does release some of that stress for me as I'm going downhill. Also super goofy, but it works. Also, this can be connected with calming the nervous system and checking in with your ego. So I would suggest calming down the nervous system first, and then checking in with the ego and your truer self and kind of making that distinction from there if you still need to, because that just slows down the thought process as well and creates a little bit more clarity. Lastly is the visualization practice. So if you're going out on a trail the next day that you're a little bit nervous about, you're looking to progress on a drop. Before you go to sleep, doing some visualizations of that drop itself, of you doing it successfully, with ease, with calm. And then before you go out that next day, doing the visualization practice again, and just watching yourself on the car ride over, if you're not driving, don't do this if you're driving, to doing that drop successfully over and over again. And this is scientifically proven. I don't think we use it enough because it seems too simple and we're like, it's too hard. I don't want to visualize. It works. It literally works. And try it out, see if it works for you. Okay, checking in with the ego, setting yourself up for success, calming the nervous system, and visualization. And that is that. Any questions or comments? I'm going to go back to the chat. We had a lot of fear of falling. Then we had the negative self-talk. Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to, you were talking about the negative self-talk, and this earlier in March when I was in Sedona, there was a day where I went riding with, and I get super intimidated by riding with women that are better than me because of that fear of like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to keep up and I'm not going to be good enough. And I went on one day, I think there were 7 of us, and every single one of them except for me was a mountain bike coach. And so their skill level, they were kick-ass women in general. But what I'm learning is that if people want you to be there, you're welcome, and they don't care about how fast you are, how fit you are, whatever. They want you to be there to have a good time, right?
Yes.
And so there's this one section on the trail where I was obviously the last one because I hate climbing. And so we did this hill. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Sedona, but we did the Grand Central Trail all the way to Ant Hill. I hike a bike for me. And I get to the top and I'm super puffed out. And the theme during this entire ride was these amazing women waiting for me. And me just saying, oh God, I'm sorry you guys have to wait for me. Like, sorry, like feeling like I'm not good enough. I can't keep up with them. It's that ego in a way too sometimes. But when I got to the top, one of the ladies, Charlotte, she's absolutely amazing. She looked at me and she goes, Mia, You don't have to be sorry for us waiting for you. Just say, thank you for waiting for me. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You don't have to apologize every single time. So that for me was kind of like really eye-opening, because I can't compare myself with them. And I remembered I'm there to learn from them. I'm there to have
Wow.
fun and be happy and have a good time, not be miserable that they're going to be waiting for me, every single time. But
Yeah,
you're right. It comes back to that why. Like, I had to think, well, why am I there? I'm here to have a great time with them on the mountain bike. Like, that's why I'm here.
yeah.
So make sure to always not say sorry, but say thank you.
I love that. And that's like a story I think we can all relate to in some part of our biking journey, of being at the back of the pack and like coming to the top and like, I'm so sorry. But
Yeah.
they wanted you there. They invited you. You would not be there if they didn't
Yeah.
want you there. And
Exactly.
for, if you think about it, when you wait for maybe somebody who is a little bit at a lower level than you are within their skills or endurance or whatever it is, when they make it to the top and you see them, do you feel like, oh, always waiting on them? Or are you like, oh yeah, friend, you made it to the top. I'm so proud of you. I'm stoked.
Yeah,
And
you're
you,
right. Because on the downhill, I'm way faster than on the uphill. So you're right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a good way
you're
of thinking
always
of it.
stoked.
Yeah.
Mhm. Love the mantra. Thank you, Kelsey. I love the mantra too. It has helped me immensely within my practice. What if the visualization defaults to Friday feels? How to get out of the way? It's so ingrained. Yes. So the fails of like, I'm assuming you're talking about like crashing instead of doing it properly. If that is your go-to, visualization might not be something that is super helpful right away. What I would suggest doing is taking videos of yourself doing things successfully. Make sure you don't keep your crash reels, or if you do, hide those so you don't see them as often. But take videos of you doing things successfully so that you can actually see yourself doing these things successfully, and then visualize what you just saw again so that we can start to retrain and rewire the brain away from that negative thought process. Also, I highly suggest taking videos of yourself if you're trying to improve on a skill, because it shows you where you're maybe fudging up a little bit or where you could improve. So definitely taking good videos of yourself to look back on, and then maybe not using visualization as that first practice for the fear of falling. Maybe using the nervous system regulation or the ego check-ins. Checking in with the ego, this does not define you, is so helpful. Yes. I think sometimes we have this hyper focused when we have that fear come in. The fear hyper fixates on the one thing that's in front of us instead of the whole ride in its whole entirety, or our whole mountain bike season in the entirety. This one small feature does not define you as a mountain biker, as a person. So always remembering that. That could also be your mantra too. That's a few of my clients, that is their mantra. Like, this does not define me. This does not define me, because the ego is so strong and has their grip in so tight that that is like the most helpful for them. Can't watch Friday Fails because my brain does the same thing. Yes. If you have a problem with going and reverting to like visualizing yourself crashing, I don't watch Friday Fails ever. They make me cringe. They make me feel icky. They make me think that I'm going to crash and do the same thing. And it just like opens the possibilities of how this crash can look like for me. And I don't need any more imaginative creation in my head, because it's already creative enough. I tell the other girls there's no apologizing in mountain biking. Yes, Shannon. I love that. Spread it. That's great. Neuroplasticity to rewire the good vibes. Good vibes only. Okay, feel free to stay on if you have any other questions or comments at the end. I am more than happy. If you all are curious and would like to work with me further and want to keep this going, and if you found this workshop really helpful, then I have a few different ways to work with me. So I have the Summit Society, and then I also have the Skills and Mindset Mountain Bike course. So the Skills and Mindset Mountain Bike course, it's kind of hard to say pretty fast, is all about building your skills at your own pace at your own time. So like I said earlier, like when we go into those clinics, that you learn all the skills, the foundational skills, and you come out of it and you're like, that was awesome. And I think I retained like 5% of it, but it was awesome. This course is to help with that. So it's to take one skill at a time, go and practice this and move on to the next. And it's in a specific order to help you learn those foundational skills and then move into some bigger maneuvers. And I'll tell you that when I took my mountain bike instructor course in 2018, I was doing a lot of things wrong. And this helped me progress within the level of mountain biking that I was in, even though it was just the foundational skills. There are also 8 educational modules. So there's modules on bike maintenance, on mindset, on intuitive nutrition, on building endurance, and a lot more. And then you'll have access to me all season long. So on the platform, we'll be able to chat, you'll be able to ask questions. You can even send me videos of how things are going if you're stuck on something. And it's just a really awesome thing that you get to take with you all season long at your own pace. And the next one is the Summit Society. So this is a community for all women of the mountains. So you don't have to be a biker, but y'all are. I know you are because you came in from the Women's MTB network, but this is for runners, climbers, splitboarders, backcountry skiers, all the above. We have monthly mind, body, spirit training. So it revolves around either our mental, physical, or spiritual health out in the mountains, community follow-up calls that we follow up that training with, because integration is 90% of the work, right? I can put all the things in front of you and be like, here you go, you're off. But if we don't actually integrate that into our life, nothing's going to change. In the mind, body, spirit trainings, we do a lot of journaling, we do a lot of meditation, but then those community calls kind of wrap it up in a nice little bow. And then we have private subgroups as well. We have a meditation corner, an accountability circle, self-care Sundays, and a book club, which are so much fun. And then the community chat platform to link up with other people as well. Okay, thank you all so much for joining. I'm going to put my website in the link in the chat so that you can go check out all the offerings that I have. And if you all have any questions at all, feel free to stay on. I'll stay on for an extra minute. And thank you for staying a little extra over. Sorry, it went a little bit longer than expected. That'll happen.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Sam, for doing this. This is absolutely amazing. And thank you for everyone who joined. This is great. This is really great.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all coming on here.
Yeah, these workshops couldn't happen if we didn't have an audience. So thank you so much. And thank you for your input as well. That was really beautiful to hear from you all. Stay in touch.
Yeah, I'm going to hang back with you a little bit too, in case people have questions. I want to see if I could benefit from it too.
Yeah.